those are usually giant decisions for people. Those are thousands and thousands of dollars that you're putting into something that is supposed to be making you money, making you a living, making your life better. And if you don't have even half of it thought out, you don't have 3/4 of it thought out, there's a good chance that that life that you wanted is going to be your living hell.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the Dig Deep podcast. My name is Michael.
I'm Sage.
And this has been a pretty slow podcast startup, honestly, but
yeah, trying to turn people that don't do anything regarding podcasting technology into podcast technology connoisseurs, and learning all this stuff has been something that's going to fit right into what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I agree, man. So the topic of today, thing that we've been discussing about and thinking about, I've been thinking about this pretty recently, honestly, but it's the 5 solutions most people miss. And I guess when we say most people miss, it's kind of a blanket term for whatever endeavor that you're trying to do, either that be like in a business space or a personal space, or like an emotional or family base. It doesn't really matter. These are kind of universal, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is I feel like today we're going to be talking a little bit broad, a little bit that applies to just us, but take what we're saying and apply it to whatever situation that you're actually going to be in. Obviously, we can't speak for every single person in every single realm of life to make this fit directly to them, but this should be able to touch on everything that people need to kind of look at to help their situations.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So we'll just jump right into it. First thing that I think most people that are kind of failing in specific respects don't have, first thing here is a good mastermind group, or a good group of people that you ask all your questions to, you get advice from. You're not getting it from credible resources. So the solution to that would be finding people that you feel are credible, that you will take their advice, and people that you actually look towards. You look at them in a positive light to give you a good quality response or good quality advice, either based on their own personal life endeavors or something that you feel like they've already done and they succeeded in some right, so you want to get their opinion on it. So
yeah, I feel like this topic here reaches a lot of people that they're still with the same people they were with in high school. They're trying to do things to better their life, but they're afraid of losing friends because of how long they've had them for, and which is respectable and stuff like that. But yeah, when you're getting into ventures of your own and the next step in life, unless you have people to work with and things to work towards in congruence with them, the other people, not that you have to get rid of them, but they may hinder your progress, hinder your speed, hinder your abilities because of what their life is about and not what they want it to be about, like what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. In my own personal life, all the people that I hung out with before, I would say 98% of them I don't hang out with anymore. You know, there's like that 30-30-30 rule where it's like you hang out with 30% of people you hang out with are like below you in a way, like they're good time friends. You know, you like to hang out with them. 30% of people are kind of at the same pace that you're at, whether they're kind of challenging you to kind of progress because they're kind of in the same path or same progression rate as you are. And then 30% of people you hang out with are kind of people that are above you, people that you respect in a way that you want to achieve what they have done, or follow in their footsteps in a way. So that percentage is pretty off for most people. It's like fucking what is it, like
95.5, maybe 98.2.
yeah There's like no one above them. It's more like everyone's kind of either good time friends or maybe there's one person working the same job as they're working.
I think comfortability plays a big part into that. People, obviously, I mean, some people are social butterflies, and other people, like myself, I would say, don't really thrive off of the social atmosphere and things like that, where I would be more comfortable talking to people that I've known for a while and things like that. But uncomfortability promotes growth. Those are things that you have to look at when evaluating your friend group and things that you're doing. So,
yeah, I agree. It's yeah. I always strive to really not hang out. I don't really have very many good time friends. Usually, the people that are that I hang out with, we have good times with. So it's kind of that situation where it's, you know, the people that I hang out with could still have a good time every once in a while. So, but I guess it's the same terminology as like if you're trying to get good at a sport. Like, you're not going to play with a bunch of people that are worse than you. You're going to play with people that are better than you, because then when you start playing with people that at one point you were at the same level as, you'll like notice that you're beating them all the time just because you've been playing with such better people, you know. Or like riding BMX, like what you did. Like, if you ride with people that are like really, really good, they're going to challenge you. That's why I like working with you, honestly. Like, when I do manual labor with you, I like doing it because you challenge me to work harder. Like, I have to kind of keep up with you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm like working with like someone else who doesn't work as hard, then I feel like I'm like a really, like, I feel like I'm great. I'm like, oh, these guys are fucking slow, you know? But when I work with you, you challenge me to like work harder. Yeah. So that's why I like doing that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the BMX thing, to start this off, I guess, it's funny you say that, because I'm not one to gloat. I don't think I'm great. I don't think I'm that special. I could ride a bike decent. But I was probably one of the better people around here in the local area. When I would go to Bethlehem, dude, those people put me in my place so fast.
Really?
It made me sometimes want to just get back in the car, because there were like kids 3-4 years younger than me doing stuff that I was like, man, hopefully soon I get to have the like ability to do that. And they were banging it out on their warm-up runs. And like, you'd go there and you'd swear you were riding with pros, and none of these dudes were sponsored. They're just average people that have this sick skate park, and they have these dudes who are way better than them that they ride with all the time.
Yep.
So they don't cap out. They don't cap off at any place. But yeah, man, working the labor part that you were talking about, I was in your exact shoes when I started my construction journey. Everybody's laughing at me. Oh, look at him shoveling like that. Look at him doing this. Oh, why are you doing it like that? You have to have those people that are better than you at things if you ever want to grow. And I mean, even if it's at a slow rate or anything, you're not going to, usually you can't teach yourself to do things better and better and better and better and better, because you're already doing things at a satisfactory rate for the style that you're living, or the things that you're doing.
Yep.
It takes that out of the box thinking that you can't think of, or you may not think in that exact way, to be able to be like, oh wow, I never looked at it like that. Maybe I should start incorporating that. And I think that is a huge thing to growth.
Yeah. And when it comes to the people that you hang out with, there also is a balance in a way, you know. I hate using the word balance because I feel like that's an overused term a lot, but you want to be able to manage the life that you know, your life with your family life as well. Mm-hmm. You know, like the people, you know, that you're hanging out with that are progressing you in a forward motion. You also have to make sure you turn that off sometimes and balance your life out with your family, you know, with your mom, your dad, you know, if you have wife or kids, you know, you want to be able to set aside time to do that stuff, you know. So they're also part of your mastermind group, you know. So even though they're not what most people think of a mastermind group, they are a substantial part of your life, a substantial influence on your life. So you have to balance that out. And sometimes it's kind of a shitty situation, but you have to, you know, some of those people that are in your family may not benefit you. You know, they might actually be like not good people, and then you have to cut those people out. But yeah, just having a good balance of working, progression, the people you hang out with, and then also, you know, just taking time to spend with your family and the people that you love, and for yourself too. So
Yeah, I mean, unless you're somebody who has nothing in this world, ultimately you're doing what you're doing. You're taking this path of betterment for yourself, for them, or at least indirectly to help them. Maybe it's to reach your goals. Maybe it's to get the house you always wanted. Maybe it's to do whatever it was that you started this journey for. But ultimately, those are the people you're taking with you. So I feel that has just as much of an impact on those few people that you keep around you near and dear as it does to your actual achievement of the goal.
Yep.
And yeah, and looking at your situation and the people you're with, what's the term? Objectively, with no bias towards any of it, and just seeing what the situation is for what it is, and turning off that, well, I've known them, or well, we've been through a lot, or we've been this. Those type of things may hinder you when it comes to growth and the people you're with, and just from making better decisions. Not that you should just cut people but it may make you look at them as I thought this person was a little bit better for me than what they are, judging by the path that I'm on and that they're on. So just little things like that, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Number 2.
Yeah, let's see what we got. Oh, why you're doing it. What's your drive? Is it good enough for you to be doing it?
Yeah. People want to make money, and they find an avenue in which they want to make money because they know that that's like a proven way of making money. But the only drive they have is, they want to make more money, or they want to not work as much or work as laborious of a job. And sometimes that why, or that drive to do that, is weak. And the solution to that is you want to have a very good reason as to why you're doing the thing that you want to pursue.
Yeah.
People will want to do something, but their drive is weak. The reason as to why they're doing it is off. So the chances of failure is substantially high.
Yeah, I feel a perfect example of that would be people that just want to get out of the rat race. I for one can say the first year when I stopped working and I was working just for myself, it was great. Every little thing I got to do that wasn't judged by a 9 to 5 or a 7 to whenever we finished job schedule was fantastic. But believe it or not, the allure of that does go away. You still have to work. You still have to grind, if not harder than what you were doing at your 9 to 5 or your 12-hour shift type of job. You know what I mean? Just like any fancy shiny object, the allure goes away, and you have to have that deep down want, that urge, that need to keep doing what you're doing to get to that end thing, or even if it's not an end thing, to just that peace that your brain needs, knowing that you're doing the right thing, the best thing for yourself, the best thing for your family. You got to have that niched, stitched in drive, or like you were saying, it'll kind of fade away after time. It's got to be strong.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Most people that listen to this probably have known people that have started something and failed to do it, and they might give you a bunch of reasons as to why they weren't able to succeed in it. But I can imagine that more times than not, one of those factors is they just didn't want it enough.
Yes. Yeah, they lost the motivation, they lost the urge, they got the for lack of a better term, they got the shiny object that they wanted to accomplish from starting that endeavor. And then after that, they didn't know where to go with it. And then things just started unraveling and falling apart. Just like perfect example would be, Mike Tyson didn't fight just for the money, but all that money in one night, gone. Completely back down to zero just because bad decisions, didn't have the one anymore, I guess you could say. Didn't have the same drives that he originally did.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a pretty interesting concept, You'd be surprised how many people can really get what they want if they just wanted it bad enough, I really, really want it. I want it really bad. I swear I do. A lot of that is just like just smoke and mirrors, you know. It's the people that are doing it in silence, living a, you know, mastering the mundane lifestyle, you know, and really just kind of placing all the pieces in their life to achieve something because they have this deep burning desire to want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing that most people will not have unless you have a abnormally good why. And most people don't have that because their life is pretty comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Why have a strong drive to do something if I'm already, you know, I have my wife, I have my kids. Hey man, I'm happy, you know. I'm happy the way I am. That's the biggest fucking lie a lot of people tell you. I'm happy where I am. It's like, dude, you don't think about wanting anything else. Like this is what you want. Here. This is it. And they're like, yeah, man, I got my 401k, got my pension, you know, I work, I'm off. Hey, next week I'm off Monday, Tuesday, so I'm gonna have a long weekend. It's like, dude. And I have to kind of be like, all right, you know, hey man, if you
a long weekend.
if you're happy, man, go, you know, good, you know, but I feel like they're lying a lot of the times, you know.
I would 100% agree with that, dude, because I can't tell you how much happier I am on a Saturday going in to finish forming up for a concrete job, or to finish restoring a yard, or to go and mobilize equipment for a few hours in the morning than I was when I was like, all right, well, I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. What do I do to waste time? You know, maybe not waste time, but what do I do that isn't going to benefit me at all? Mm-hmm. You may work more, you may actually be more involved with life than what you are now, but I mean, I guess that's something that each person has to understand. Like, when you get to that point where you're just only doing things that are benefiting you and not just doing things to get you to that spot where you have that extended weekend, that time away from the shit that you're doing, you almost don't, you obviously there's a balance that you have to follow, but like, you don't, at least I don't look at it as, oh, well, I just can't wait to get this job done. So I know that I could be good if I have 2 or 3 days off just to let myself kind of do whatever. Like, one day and I'm already like, oh my God, man, I should be doing something right now. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I love it, man. But
yeah, you just have to really think about what you want. And that kind of leads into our third solution that most people miss. And it's the solution of really thinking about your decision. Most people, the problem that they have is because of their decision making.
Yeah.
They make inaccurate or improper decisions, and it's because they're making either bad decisions or they're making decisions too fast.
Yeah.
You know, and the solution to that is really thinking about your decisions. Really thinking about what the problem is. Usually a lot of people have like a go-to, like, okay, boom, boom. Okay, that's the problem. Here's the solution. But that's just because you've trained your mind to think, okay, you know, 1 + 1 = 2 in this metaphor, you know. But in reality, there's a secondary answer to that, you know, to that question or to that problem. And it's just because you've been so accustomed to answering it a certain way that there really is other avenues to solve a problem except your go-to embedded thought, you know.
Yeah.
So really thinking about a problem, thinking about it in the quietness of either your car, your room, your living room, wherever, outside, thinking about a decision and how it could impact you, you know, many decisions down the road, not just the immediate, you know, decision.
Yeah, I will definitely say that you are somebody that I look up to in that regard, being able to be as thought out as you are. I've definitely learned a lot from how you kind of approach problems, subjects, buying things, everything, dude. And definitely taking a few extra moments to be like, okay, let me take off the I want that, or this is what I want out of the situation, and looking at it again objectively as what is actually happening, what are the repercussions of yes, What are the repercussions of no? What are the repercussions of fixing it or doing it yourself? There's layers like an onion to everything, and making sure you see all of them before you make that decision is very, I would say it's either a detrimental or a very helpful thing to do. It's either going to put you under, it's going to put you on top. That's the only way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also like another side to that coin, which is think about things that are worth your time to think about.
Yeah.
Don't spend your time thinking about a bunch of bullshit that doesn't really affect you in any way. Either that be gossip or what a specific person thinks about you, or putting all your thought into some petty argument that doesn't matter. Put your time into things that are worth putting your time into. You could always judge a man based on the size of their problems. So you want to make sure that the problems that you have are worth the time to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that directly ties into people you're around too, because you have people that are just looking for little things like that, like you said, gossip, talking about other people, the small things that conversations bring. You're gonna fall right into that. It like you said, it goes hand in hand with people you're with versus the problems you have. The better quality people, the better problems I feel you're gonna have, because you're going to be working towards things. The worse people you're with, maybe not worse, it's maybe a rough word to use towards people, but the more ungoal oriented, the more unfitting for your life people you're around, you're going to notice that your problems are unfitting for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think worse was a good way of describing it. Some people are just not fucking good. Like, some people are just worse. I hate to be shitty, dude.
Yeah.
Some people are just worse, dude. I hate to say it. You know what I mean? You fucking know it. Everyone else knows it. You talk to a motherfucker, you're like, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
Ass, dude. He's terrible. You're, in my eyes, worse than me.
Yeah.
You may be better than someone else, but I definitely want to not be around you.
Yeah.
It's just fucking a virus. Some people are super mopey, super negative, and it just rubs off on you, and then you realize you get home and you're angry for no fucking reason. You're like, it's because I was around fucking John all day, or whoever the fuck. And the
second I saw him, he was crying about this, I was crying about that, and then we did this, and he was bitching about the line, and yeah, it's just it'll ultimately, it brings you down. It brings you down, makes you think about shit that you shouldn't have to think about. You have other bigger fish to fry, not fucking worrying about stupid stuff that John's upset about just because you hung out with him for 4 hours today and that's all you heard.
Yeah, I agree.
They tie hand in hand, man. I would 100% say that.
What do we got for number 4?
Number 4 is the speed. You actually, as we were saying, go slow because that'll help you go faster. The classic tale of the tortoise and the hare. Somebody may reach the finish line first, but all the shit that they didn't address or didn't deal with to get to the finish line will catch them at some point. Now, if you deal with what you have to deal with and you deal with the problems at hand as you're going, you're gonna be more. Even if you don't get there before him, you're gonna get there, and you're not gonna have to deal with nearly as much as the other guy, or any of the things that followed him just because he rushed through stuff.
Yeah, I agree. There's an art, and I really honestly think it's a skill to be able to be meticulous in your decision making and be meticulous into what you pick for your drive, and to be meticulous in who you hang out with. And all of those things may take time, and it may not be as quick of a decision, but that's going to really ramp up the speed in which you get to your end goal quicker, just by taking those slower extra steps.
Yes.
So being meticulous, taking your time, and really figuring out what direction you want to take your life, whether that be in an entrepreneurial endeavor or within a family respect, or whatever the situation may be. Really being meticulous, taking your time, going slow, you'll get to that end result quicker than you expect. There was a really good point that I was thinking about, and now I forget it. Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, that's a good point. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, dude, to add to that, I would say I actually utilize number 4 more times than I can count in a day. I'm somebody who doubts themselves and their decisions a lot in the way that I always think that there's a better way that I could be doing it. So when I go to bed at night, obviously I have my plan. Like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to dig that out. I'm going to bring the Peterbilt. Everything's going to go smooth. I get to the job site, drop something off. I'm like, man, I had a different thought in my head about how this was going to go. I see there's a wire there. I didn't notice at first, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I'll do one load in that thing. And then I go home, I go to the dump, I'll dump that. And then I'll be like, you know what? That didn't go as quick as I wanted. I might not be able to haul as much with the dump trailer, but I'm going to go get the Cummins and the dump trailer. And I'm going to go load into that and run loads like that because I know all the other BS that I have to deal with that I originally thought wasn't going to be a problem. And, oh, yeah, I can just move more material with that truck. You know what I mean? Mm. It's actually way more efficient than it would be or with the dump trailer than it would be if I just stuck to my original plan. Mm. So constantly, everything I'm doing, whether it's forming, whether it's this, whether it's that, it's always like, is this going as fast as I'd want it to? No, okay. Or if it is, I'm still thinking about reasons why I could, or things I could do to kind of, okay, well, maybe on the next one I'll do this. You know what I mean? And you don't have to act on them, but it's good to have the common mindset to always be like, okay, well, I'm just going to think about everything I'm doing. And you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to enact it at first. Like you could have put another couple loads on the Peterbilt and really thought about it. But it's just always like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I had this plan last night, but now I'm reevaluating now that I'm here, now that I noticed this, now that I noticed that, instead of just saying, well, I had that in effect. You know what I mean? That I guess that would be a little bit more fast-paced thinking, but it's longevity thinking. It's not just, I made this plan, so I'm going to stick to it because this is what I thought. It's adapting. It's just overall thinking outside the box, I guess you could say, compared to what you had written on paper.
Yeah, and you were mentioning something before, downtime, like downtime costs versus like repair costs when it comes to like working on a machine or something.
Yeah, I actually, you know this, but for everybody, I have a Cat 305 excavator. I was doing some very mundane tasks with it. I'm very nice to my equipment, but where the boom cylinder extends to the stick, it peeled the entire mounting bracket right off of it when I was using it the other day. Hurt my heart. That's one of those things where it could have very well made me in a very pissed off mood, a very miserable, I got to spend a couple grand to get this fixed because I'm no certified welder. I'm not a fabricator. I'm a construction worker, business owner. And I do try and do everything that I can on my own, as does anybody who's a small business who doesn't have $1 million to just play with all the time. But that was one where I had to sit back and think, okay, I have people that they could fix this with me. Now, when I bought that machine a year and a half ago, I had to put a brand new cylinder rod in it because the last people that fixed it didn't do it right and it was bent. And when I got the cylinder seal replaced, they told me about it. There was metal shavings in it. Could have caused catastrophic failure to my hydraulic system. That was one thing I learned, that if you do it at home and the people that fix it don't know what they're doing, in a year and a half, a week, who knows what the longevity of the Band-Aid's going to be, but it's going to peel off. So that was a situation where, as much as I didn't want to have to spend another couple grand this year at the beginning of the year, I dropped it off at a guy who fixes that kind of stuff professionally, and I'm having him take care of it. I got the John Deere running on the job site right now. The 35 isn't moving much material or as much material with it, but we're still chugging along. That's just the downtime that I would have had to inconvenience the other people that would have been helping me, and possible other downtime in the shorter term because we didn't fix it the proper way that it should have been fixed. I weighed those options out and I thought about it for a while, and that was the conclusion I came to. That was the most efficient and longevity-wise solution to what I had up against me. Again, because I'm not a professional fabricator. I'm not a welder. I've never welded a day in my life. I've done a lot of new things when it comes to my excavators, my dump trucks, my skid steers, concrete buggies, hydraulic systems, everything. Every time I work on those machines, I'm pulling up forums, looking at all the things that I don't know and learning. But that was just one of those things where the downtime and the risk didn't outweigh the proper repair, which ultimately, to me, is the reward, because knowing that thing is operational, it's strong, it's got integrity, and no other part of that machine is suffering because of the lack of money I wanted to put into it or effort or whatever the case may be. It's fixed, it's going to be proper, and it's going to keep me up and running for another, hopefully, couple thousand hours before something else catastrophic happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of deciding, the speed in which you want to go. So really making those decisions, thinking about it thoroughly, and having like a total game plan. And that kind of brings us to our final solution, which is the solution of having a total game plan. Most people want something to do. They want to get somewhere. They want to do something, but they don't have a really laid out idea of what they want. So having a mission statement or a full plan, as detailed as you possibly can get it, to get from point A to point B, is the most ideal situation to get to your reward as quickly as possible.
I think right there that sentence will be able to help people kind of maybe not apply to every single person, but those people you spoke of earlier where they did something for a while and then they just fell off. They had a great business that was going, and then all of a sudden it just in a year turned around and is out of business now, or they're not doing it, or whatever the case may be. They didn't have the full plan. They had the plan up until the shiny thing. Mm-hmm. And like we talked about, that only gets you to that point. If there's more to do after that, then you either have to refocus your attention, or you didn't have a strong plan to begin with. All you wanted was the allure of being able to achieve that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people are not specific.
No.
They're not specific enough, Let me think of one. I want to own a food truck. Okay, great, man. Like, what kind of food truck? I want to do chili cheese dogs. Okay, where are you gonna do it at? Around here. Okay, where specifically? I don't know, fairs. I'm like, all right, well, do you know how many fairs you have to, like, do you know what kind of van you're gonna get? He goes, I don't know, something, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not thought out enough, dude. You have a great idea, it's just you didn't think about it thoroughly enough. You really have to think about it.
Yeah, that's again, unless you have a ton of money to just play with, and those are just like side endeavors that you want to do, those are usually giant decisions for people. Those are thousands and thousands of dollars that you're putting into something that is supposed to be making you money, making you a living, making your life better. And if you don't have even half of it thought out, you don't have 3/4 of it thought out, there's a good chance that life that you wanted is going to be your living hell, because you're just going to be scraping, skimming, struggling, pushing, grinding way harder than you had to if you had the background going into it and the thought put into it to know what you have to do to survive.
Yeah. And believe it or this, most people, when they don't have a thorough game plan and they want something, the fact that they didn't think about it shows they don't give a shit about it. If you didn't think about it enough, you're probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I want to own a food truck, and you don't really have a thought out plan. If I come back to you in a year, I'm like, hey man, how's that food truck? You're like, no, I'm still working. Like, you probably didn't even start it. You know what I mean? So it's going to show, it shows the amount of dedication you have for your plan. And yeah, like you said, dude, it's not cheap. This shit's it's a big deal to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, dude, a food truck, 50, 60,000 for a food truck, maybe. Dude, I've seen food trucks that are like 120, 200,000 with a whole kitchen inside. It's like, okay, but like, okay, you gotta get one and that's already built, and then you're gonna do it that way, or you're gonna do it this way. There's just so many variables that you really have to think about it, and you have to have a good game plan from start to finish. Where you want to start at, how much money you want to spend, all the way to the point where it's like, I want to be doing this, having the food truck operate without anyone or without me, just with other people. And I just want to be able to come in and maybe do like a weekend or something at a festival that I like or some shit, you know?
Yeah.
You got to get pretty much all those points from point A to point B. Like, you got to understand all those things pretty thoroughly before you make a move.
Yeah. And something to understand is you're never going to have everything ironed out. Perfect example of what we're talking about. I have a friend who operates a seafood food truck, and he does seafood boils. He built this trailer from the ground up. This dude is he's not short on the dedication, the effort, the thought outness of anything. He thought about all this stuff, man. He thought how many crab or pots he could have going at one time, how much he could handle. Like, he had it down to a T until the first day in summer that he did it, and he didn't test out his ventilation fan with all 4 burners going. He said it was 135 degrees in there, and he almost had a heat stroke that day trying to keep up. His wife was running him cases of water. He had misters going in there on himself because he was about to pass out.
Oh my gosh.
And
dude,
he didn't have any issues running 2-3 burners at once. But he said when he had to run full bore in that trailer, he said it almost killed him.
Wow.
So, like, and that's not a deal breaker. Like, obviously he could run at almost max capacity in the middle of summer with no issues, but like, take that example and switch it into anything you're doing just to see how close it could have been to, like, say if he wasn't doing seafood stuff and he had $100,000 excavator out there that he overlooked a small issue with. I'll just band-aid that. It should be good enough. And then that breaks on him and he's on a multi-$100,000 job or something. And obviously there's ways to kind of go around that. But the goal of everything is to not have to lose money, not have to adjust to those things that you didn't give thought to. It's to be able to run like a well-oiled machine, have your shit ironed out and have your shit ready to go, and be professional is what it comes down to. Know what you're doing, know what you have to do, and know your system that you created inside and out. And it doesn't happen. You can put as much thought into things as you want, and you're still going to run into things you didn't think about. That's life. That's anything you do. But and it all ties back into it, I think, where the drive, the want, the people you're around, the group you have to help you with these issues you deal with, everything kind of spins in full circle for you to be able to run as well as you possibly could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The effort, the group, the thought, all of it, man. It all just hits and makes you the person that you should be, and being able to overcome those problems reliably and making the best educated decisions.
Yeah, these are 5 separate solutions to 5 separate problems, but they all work off of each other.
Yeah.
You know? So that's kind of the most important thing, is to be able to kind of understand these solutions or understand these problems and realize that if you get, you know, relatively good at solving these problems and you do it on a consistent basis, you're going to see the results that you want to receive in whatever aspect that may be in your
Absolutely.
life. You know?
And none of it's easy. Let's just start there. None of this nothing's a walk in the park when it comes to being in control of every portion of your life. But the reward for the effort, the reward for figuring these little details out, and knowing what you're here on this planet for, because it's not, obviously we need people that work 9 to 5s, but for the people that are watching this that want to better themselves, that know that that's not a fit for them and are just nervous to make the jump, nervous to do this or that, like, it's all worth it. It's all worth it in the end, as long as you can navigate through these kind of what do you call them, problems, I guess. Yeah
I think out of all these issues, the easiest solution out of all of them, which is up for debate, honestly, you know, who knows, but I think for myself the easiest solution is having a good want or having a good drive to get something.
Yeah.
Like, really just think, it doesn't really require very much. You just got to fucking figure out it requires some deep internal thought, but yeah, think about what you want and think about it very intuitively, and you know, you could ultimately figure out what you want in your life, and then the rest of the things are granted much more difficult, but Yeah, have a good drive. Like that's a pretty solid one that I think most people could start with. Out of all these things, one problem that you could have a solution for immediately after this podcast is to find a mastermind group, and also to have a good drive. Find something that you really want.
Yeah,
have a good why.
Get it all ironed out. Get your friend group right, or at least get the ratio right for the friend group that you're spending the most time with.
Yeah, get the ratio right. Dude.
Yeah,
don't do that. Don't do that. 95, fucking
98
2.5.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like you said, I don't hang out with too many people anymore, and it's not because they're bad people or anything like that. A, I don't have time to go do the mundane things because of what I'm working towards, and B, I just want to be around people that are like me now. Before I was a certain way. Things happen. Now I'm a different way. You know what I mean? You have to align yourself. And I guess that's another good way of looking at it. Your people and your surroundings and your situations, they should all be in a line. If you're all over the place, you should figure out which parts are diverting you. And right there you'd be able to pick out it's a problem. Like if you want your end goal as efficiently and reliably as it comes, those diversions are problems, and those need to be straightened out. So easy way to look at that, I guess, would be just to figure out where your line isn't straight anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. A solid 5 solutions.
Hopefully these gave some perspective, some depth, some insight on ways to look at the solutions, ways to look at situations. It's just that not conventional kind of thinking that everybody's been indoctrinated to just go to the default. But yeah, no, I think these are some golden ones right here. Maybe not the best, maybe not the worst, but I mean, they sure as hell helped me so far in life.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Good time talking. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed the Dig Deep podcast. Stay tuned for the next.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.